Dahlias are beloved for their vibrant blooms and come in a variety of colors, shapes, and sizes. In this video, we'll guide you through the process of selecting, preparing, and planting dahlia tubers to ensure successful growth and beautiful blooms in your garden. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or new to dahlias, we've got you covered with helpful tips and techniques. Dahlia tubers are underground storage structures that serve as the starting point for growing dahlia plants. These tubers resemble thick, knobby roots and are the primary method of propagation for dahlias. Unlike seeds, which can take longer to germinate and grow, dahlia tubers offer a quicker and more reliable way to establish plants. Dahlias are members of the Asteraceae family and are native to Mexico and Central America. They are known for their showy, colorful flowers, which range from petite pompons to large dinner plate-sized blooms. With proper care, dahlia tubers can produce an abundance of flowers throughout the growing season, making them popular choices for gardeners looking to add vibrant colors to their landscapes. When selecting dahlia tubers, it's essential to choose healthy specimens free from signs of decay or damage. Look for firm, plump tubers with multiple eyes or buds, as these indicate vigorous growth potential. Timing is crucial when planting dahlia tubers, as they thrive in warm soil and require frost-free conditions to grow. In most regions, dahlia tubers can be planted outdoors after the danger of frost has passed and the soil has warmed up in the spring. This typically occurs around the same time as other warm season plants, such as tomatoes and peppers. When selecting a site for planting dahlia tubers, choose a location that receives full sun for at least 6 to 8 hours per day. Adequate sunlight is essential for promoting healthy growth and vibrant flower production. Avoid planting dahlias in areas with excessive shade or competition from trees and shrubs, as this can hinder their development and flowering. In terms of soil, dahlia tubers prefer well-draining, fertile soil with a slightly acidic to neutral pH level. Amending the soil with organic matter, such as compost or aged manure, can improve soil structure and fertility, providing an ideal growing environment for dahlia tubers. Additionally, ensure that the planting site has good air circulation to prevent fungal diseases and promote overall plant health. Before planting dahlia tubers, it's essential to prepare the soil thoroughly to provide the best growing conditions for these plants. Begin by loosening the soil to a depth of at least 12 inches using a garden fork or tiller. Remove any weeds, rocks, or debris from the planting area to prevent competition for nutrients and space. Next, incorporate organic matter into the soil to improve its structure and fertility. Mix in a generous amount of compost, aged manure, or other organic amendments to provide essential nutrients and promote healthy root development. This step is particularly important if the soil is sandy or clayey, as it helps retain moisture and nutrients. When planting dahlia tubers, dig individual planting holes that are approximately 6 to 8 inches deep and spaced about 12 to 18 inches apart. Place the tubers in the holes with the eye or growing point facing upwards, ensuring that they are positioned at the correct depth. The eye is the small, bud-like protrusion on the tuber from which new shoots will emerge. Once the tubers are in place, backfill the holes with soil, gently firming it around the tubers to provide good soil-to-tuber contact. Water the newly planted tubers thoroughly to settle the soil and provide moisture to the roots. Avoid overwatering, as excessively wet soil can lead to rotting of the tubers. As the dahlia plants grow, provide support if necessary to prevent them from flopping over or bending under their own weight. Stake taller varieties or use cages or other support structures to keep the plants upright and stable. This is especially important in windy areas or when growing larger dahlia cultivars with heavy blooms. Finally, mulch around the base of the dahlia plants to conserve soil moisture, suppress weed growth, and maintain even soil temperatures. Apply a layer of organic mulch, such as shredded bark or straw, to a depth of 2 to 3 inches, being careful not to mound it up against the stems of the plants. Mulching also helps protect the tubers from temperature fluctuations and insulates them during periods of cold weather. Once dahlia tubers are planted, it's important to provide proper care and maintenance to ensure healthy growth and abundant blooms. One crucial aspect of dahlia care is regular watering, especially during periods of dry weather or drought. Dahlia plants prefer consistently moist soil, so aim to water them deeply once or twice a week, depending on rainfall and soil moisture levels. Avoid overwatering, as soggy soil can lead to root rot and other problems. In addition to watering, Dahlia plants benefit from regular fertilization throughout the growing season to support vigorous growth and prolific flowering. Use a balanced fertilizer with equal parts nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, applied according to the manufacturer's instructions. Begin fertilizing when the plants start to show new growth in spring, and continue every 4 to 6 weeks until late summer or early fall. Deadheading, or removing spent blooms, is another essential task for maintaining healthy and vigorous dahlia plants. Deadheading encourages continuous blooming and prevents the plants from expending energy on producing seeds. To deadhead dahlia flowers, simply pinch or snip off the faded blooms just above a set of leaves or buds. Regular deadheading throughout the growing season will promote longer-lasting blooms and a more abundant floral display. As dahlia plants grow, they may require additional support to prevent them from bending or flopping over under the weight of their blooms. Install stakes or support cages around the plants early in the season to provide structural support and prevent damage to the stems. As the plants grow taller, tie them loosely to the stakes or cages using soft twine or garden ties, being careful not to constrict or damage the stems. As the growing season comes to an end and temperatures begin to drop, it's time to prepare dahlia tubers for overwintering. In regions where winters are cold and frost is common, dahlia tubers must be dug up and stored indoors to protect them from freezing temperatures. Typically, this process should be initiated after the first frost, before the ground freezes completely. To overwinter dahlia tubers, start by carefully digging up the plants, taking care not to damage the tubers. Use a garden fork or shovel to gently loosen the soil around the base of the plants, then lift them out of the ground, shaking off excess soil. Once the tubers are removed from the soil, use a hose to gently wash away any remaining dirt, being careful not to damage the tubers or wash away their protective skin. After washing, allow the tubers to air dry in a well-ventilated area for a few days to allow any excess moisture to evaporate. Once dry, trim off any remaining foliage or stems, leaving only the tubers attached to the main stem. Inspect the tubers for signs of damage or disease, discarding any that appear soft, mushy, or discolored. Next, prepare the tubers for storage by dusting them with a fungicide powder or sulfur powder to prevent rot and fungal diseases during the dormant period. Place the tubers in a single layer in a cardboard box or shallow tray lined with peat moss, vermiculite, or perlite, ensuring that they are not touching each other. Label the storage container with the variety name or color of the tubers for easy identification in the spring. Finally, keep an eye out for common pests and diseases that may affect dahlias, such as aphids, spider mites, powdery mildew, and botrytis. Store the dahlia tubers in a cool, dry, and dark location with temperatures between 40 and 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 4 to 10 degrees Celsius, such as a basement, garage, or root cellar. Avoid storing them in areas prone to temperature fluctuations or high humidity, as this can increase the risk of rot or mold growth. Periodically check on the tubers throughout the winter to ensure they remain firm and healthy. If any tubers show signs of decay or shriveling, remove them immediately to prevent the spread of disease to the rest of the stored tubers. As winter fades away and the days grow longer and warmer, it's time to prepare your dahlia tubers for planting in the spring. Start by inspecting the stored tubers to ensure they are firm, healthy, and free from any signs of decay or disease. Discard any tubers that appear soft, shriveled, or moldy, as they are unlikely to produce healthy plants. Once you have selected the tubers for planting, it's essential to allow them to acclimate to warmer temperatures and rehydrate before planting them in the garden. This process, known as waking up the tubers, involves placing them in a shallow tray or container filled with moistened potting soil or perlite and allowing them to sit in a warm, well-lit area for a few weeks. During this time, keep the tubers lightly moistened but not waterlogged, as excessive moisture can lead to rot. You may notice small green shoots emerging from the eyes or nodes of the tubers as they begin to wake up from dormancy. These are the early signs that the tubers are ready for planting in the garden. When selecting a planting site for your dahlia tubers, choose a location that receives full sun for most of the day and has well-draining soil. Avoid planting them in low-lying areas that are prone to waterlogging, as this can lead to root rot and other issues. Prepare the soil by loosening it to a depth of 12 to 15 inches, 30 to 38 centimeters, and incorporating organic matter such as compost or aged manure to improve soil structure and fertility. Plant the dahlia tubers in the prepared soil, spacing them at least 18 to 24 inches, 45 to 60 centimeters, apart to allow for adequate air circulation and room for growth. Place the tubers with the eyes or growing points facing upwards and cover them with a layer of soil, leaving the tops of the tubers just below the surface. Water the newly planted tubers thoroughly to settle the soil and provide moisture to the roots. Continue to water regularly, keeping the soil evenly moist but not waterlogged, especially during the early stages of growth when the plants are establishing themselves in the garden. As the weather warms up and the plants begin to grow, be on the lookout for signs of pests or diseases, such as aphids, slugs, or powdery mildew. Take prompt action to address any issues that arise, using organic pest control methods or fungicides as needed to protect the plants. These plants have moderate water needs and prefer consistently moist soil, especially during periods of active growth and flowering. However, it's essential to avoid overwatering, as soggy soil can lead to root rot and other issues. Instead, aim to water deeply and infrequently, allowing the soil to dry out slightly between waterings. In addition to watering, dahlias benefit from regular fertilization to support their vigorous growth and blooming. Apply a balanced, water-soluble fertilizer formulated for flowering plants every 4-6 weeks during the growing season, following the manufacturer's instructions for application rates and timing. Alternatively, you can use a slow-release fertilizer applied at the beginning of the growing season to provide continuous nourishment to the plants over time. Another aspect of dahlia care is providing support for the tall, sturdy stems and large blooms. As the plants grow, they may become top-heavy and prone to leaning or falling over, especially in windy conditions. To prevent this, install stakes or other support structures around the plants, securing them gently with soft ties or twine as needed to provide support without damaging the stems or foliage. As the dahlias continue to grow and produce blooms, it's important to deadhead spent flowers regularly to encourage continuous blooming and prevent the plants from expending energy on seed production. Simply pinch or snip off faded flowers as soon as they begin to wilt, taking care not to damage the surrounding foliage or emerging buds. In addition to deadheading, dahlias may benefit from periodic pruning to maintain a tidy appearance and encourage bushier growth. Remove any yellowing or diseased foliage, as well as any weak or overcrowded stems, to improve air circulation and reduce the risk of pest and disease problems. As your dahlia plants reach maturity and begin to produce blooms, it's essential to know the proper techniques for harvesting and storing the flowers to prolong their beauty and extend their vase life. Harvesting dahlias at the right stage of maturity is crucial for ensuring long-lasting blooms and preventing premature wilting or fading. When harvesting dahlias, wait until the flowers are fully open and the petals feel firm and taut to the touch. Avoid picking flowers that are still in bud or have just begun to open, as they may not fully develop or open properly once cut. Instead, select flowers that are at their peak of perfection, with vibrant colors and sturdy stems. To harvest dahlias, use a clean, sharp pair of garden shears or scissors to make a clean cut on the stem, just above a leaf node or side shoot. Cut the stem at a 45-degree angle to promote water uptake and prevent the stem from sitting flat on the bottom of the vase. Remove any excess foliage or side shoots from the stem, leaving only a few leaves near the top to help support the flower. After harvesting, immediately place the dahlia stems in a bucket or vase filled with clean, tepid water to prevent wilting and dehydration. Keep the flowers in a cool, dark place away from direct sunlight and drafts while you prepare them for arranging or storing. By following the steps outlined in this video, you can successfully plant and care for your dahlia tubers, from selecting the right location and preparing the soil to planting and nurturing the emerging plants. Remember to provide adequate water, sunlight, and support for your dahlia plants as they grow, and monitor them regularly for signs of pests, diseases, or other issues. With proper care and attention, your dahlia tubers will reward you with an abundance of beautiful flowers that will brighten your garden and bring joy to your home. Happy gardening!